Zane,
Yes.
why does whiskey cost so much?
You mean why a $30 bottle of whiskey now costs $75?
That's right. I mean, it seems like price of whiskey just fluctuates all over the place.
Yes, fluctuating up, and up.
Yeah, and out of my pocket. So I think today we talk about why whiskey costs so much and what we can do about it.
On Hold My Whiskey, right after this.
Yeah, so welcome to Hold My Whiskey.
By Whiskey Pop.
My name's Jeff.
And I am still Zane.
So hey, do you know how many barrels of whiskey currently exist in Kentucky?
Why, yes, I read your notes.
So there is 9.1 million barrels of whiskey currently in Kentucky.
And how many millions of people are in Kentucky?
There's only 4.5 million, right?
Yes.
So that means that there's 2 barrels per person
In Kentucky.
So if that's the case, if there's that much whiskey, why does whiskey cost so much?
Well, I have a feeling that we are going to explore this topic in depth.
We are. So let's do that today.
So why does this cost so much?
All right, so I think we have to look at this as in categories, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to look at this. So let's talk the first key ingredient as far as why it costs so much. Let's talk about the angel share.
Right, you mean the disappearing of our beloved beverage into the ether?
That's right. So as whiskey sits in a barrel,
Yeah.
it loses 1 to 2% of whiskey every year.
Okay, so if I have a 10-year bourbon,
Right?
I could theoretically have lost 20% of the contents of the barrel.
You lose 20% of the contents of that barrel. So by the time you're dumping it out, you lost 20% of your profit.
Yeah, but just because there's what is of above, there so is below. We have the angel's share and the devil's cut.
Yeah, but the devil's cut is a little more difficult to pull out. So, I mean, you have to basically, there's a lot of process there to squeeze that out of there.
But most people aren't even using it.
And if they did that through every barrel, they'd have a hard time selling that to Scotch producers who want that devil's cut in that barrel.
So in essence, even most bourbons that we're drinking, we lose the angel and the devil's cut.
So you lose both, which could be anywhere between 20% to 30%. Now, think about this, like Pappy's.
Yeah, right.
Pappy's super expensive. So the 24-year Pappy, right? You're gonna lose 48% of the whiskey in that barrel. So when they're dumping Pappy's into a bottle, it's already 50% of that barrel's empty.
Okay, so that would be automatically double the cost, basically, of that particular whiskey as opposed to one that is curated not as long.
That's correct. So, I mean, they have to make the money back. I mean, so that gets forwarded on to us. So you can see
lucky me.
That's right. So you can see how even the barrel, the time it spends in it, dictates, how much a whiskey costs.
Sure.
If we're gonna talk about barrels,
Yeah,
we have to talk about storage, right?
sure.
Storage costs money.
Of course it does. It's real estate that could be turned into, making profit some other way.
And is whiskey making them money while it's sitting in storage?
It is not.
So let's just talk about bourbon, because we do know that Scotches and Irish whiskey spend a little bit more time. Bourbon. A little bit more time in the barrel than even bourbon does. So ours minimum is 2 years.
Yeah.
Irish whiskey, Scotch whiskeys tend to spend a minimum of 3 years. Even Canadian whiskey is 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a lot of time. Now, when we do like a bottle and bond,
Right.
that's a 4 year, right?
4 year.
So that alone means that they're not making any money on that whiskey. All right, so the next thing. Your standard whiskey is usually around 40% alcohol.
Yeah.
So with 40% alcohol, is that in the barrel like that?
No. You're talking about that's coming off.
So coming out of the barrel, it's not at 40%, but
No.
your standard bourbon is 40% alcohol. So what are they doing?
Well, they'll add water or whatnot.
Yeah, they're adding water to it.
Yeah.
You're right. So when it's not adding water to it, like let's say like a cask strength or a barrel proof, are they getting as much whiskey out of that?
No, and so those are going to cost more in general.
So so a 40% alcohol, they can produce more of it because they're adding water to it, so it increases the amount. So a barrel goes from 150 to 300 bottles out of a barrel you can get 400 or 500 bottles out of that barrel now because you've added water to it.
Right.
So they can sell those cheaper. So like those bottom shelf whiskeys are cheaper because they can produce more of them and they add water to it, so it lengthens how far that whiskey will go.
So, I mean, we know that those are costs, but if we still, I mean, what happened to Buffalo Trace being $20?
So why is like a bottle like that used to be $30 now $75? There's a lot that's going into that, and then there's a lot we can talk about within that even. You need to understand that we are in the middle of a bourbon boom.
Is that because for some reason it's become trendy? It's become, hip, stir?
That's true. So not like your whiskey drinker used to be like your grandma, your grandpa, who would have a couple of drinks and...
I'm sorry, Grandma. I didn't ever know you drank, but...
No, grandma drinks. I mean...
bullshit.
But that's the thing is like whiskey wasn't like something they drank because it was socially cool. They drank it because it was medicinal. It helped you de-stress after a long day on the working out on the farm. All those kind of things. Now, every office mode Joe gets to come in and have whiskey. They want to try those neat trendy whiskeys.
They're the what's it called, the lumber sexuals with the big beards, and they go in, they're like have to look tough, so they're gonna drink bourbon.
The lumber sexuals? That's a term now.
Just so you'll know, authentic sumbitch.
Lumber sexual.
Lumber sexual here.
The bourbon boom before that happened, bourbon companies almost went out of business.
You were telling me that it just like suddenly the purchasing well, as it were, dried up.
They were basically giving whiskey away because they couldn't sell it because everybody was drinking vodkas and they were drinking all these clear liquids because that was what was trendy.
And if you're trying to stay afloat, let me guess, you go from making your bourbons and whiskeys to your clear liquids because you're just trying to make it. So guess what's not being aged and put up on the shelf?
That's right. No more bourbon. Same thing with Japan. So Japan over there. Whenever, Lost in Translation came out.
Right.
And Bill Murray's sitting there drinking Hibiki 24 year, right? That's awesome movie.
Yeah.
But that boom of the people seeing him drink that whiskey brought to forefront Japanese whiskeys, and then people just flocked to buy all the Japanese whiskey they could. Japan was not prepared for that, and they ran out of age statement whiskeys.
Right. In 5 or 10 years, are we going to see a boom, a price drop maybe?
We might. So here's the deal. What's happening is now that the distillers are trying to catch up to this demand. And it's created a whole slew of new problems. Because, it takes time, obviously, for whiskey to age. And even if you're only doing a minimum of a 2-year, something like Eagle Rare, which is a 10-year whiskey. And we know that Blanton's is being stored in multiple year storage.
Right.
It may be an 8-year, but there also may be some 12 years sitting around in that bottle. Same way with Weller, Weller 107 and the 12-year as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that makes the point is you're guaranteed that, what is it, the youngest whiskey that's in here has got to be at the 12-year? Has to be the 12-year?
No, the youngest whiskey in here would be Benchmark.
No, I'm just talking about if they're saying it's a 12-year,
like the youngest in here would have to be the Buffalo Trace. The Buffalo Trace we know is a minimum of a 2-year, but we know that it's a minimum.
Yeah.
There's still some 4-year in there, maybe some 6 and 8-year in there. So now here's the issue. Aftermarket price gouging.
You mean, well, let's call it what it is.
So, the boom is going on, right? People are getting into whiskey. And what is the thing you see when you go out to social media? You see like these whiskeys.
Oh, right.
Stacked and stacked, piles and piles on people's shelves, like they're collecting like Buffalo Trace, like it's like baseball cards.
Yeah.
They have like rows and rows of Buffalo Trace, and they'll show you these pictures. And then you'll see people that's all they're buying is all the Buffalo Trace branded stuff. So when you're a noob coming into the whiskey world, and all you see is people casing these type of whiskeys,
right?
It creates this demand that is superficial.
Mm-hmm.
And people think, well, if I can't get these whiskeys, this is the only good whiskey that's out there. They start buying it up.
Right.
Which drives people to go and sell it for 400 times the price it's really worth. Here's the deal. Buffalo Trace was a $20 whiskey when it came out.
Yeah.
Buffalo Trace is still a $20 whiskey when it comes out.
Yeah, no, it still is. Yeah.
But we still see it in price ranges of like, what, $30, $40?
Oh, I've seen it way over that, actually, yeah.
Eagle Rare, a $40 whiskey, now is like sometimes $50, $60, $75. And let's not even talk about Weller 12.
Yeah.
It's a $40 whiskey, tops.
Yeah.
I've seen it for $400. Not just in aftermarket pricing, but actually in liquor stores. Which shame on you, liquor stores. This is not where you make up your money.
It's like they go on eBay, if there is such a way to do that. Like,
they're doing it.
Look at that bottle of whiskey. Because we can't sell whiskey yet, supposedly.
That's right.
Anyway, but they're finding all these prices, or they go to forums and they're like,
there's black market.
There's money left in the table there, so let's mark ours up.
Yeah, and so that's what's happening now. Here, to be fair to liquor stores, here's what's happening since the bourbon boom. So, whiskey distilleries have increased their prices 20%.
Yeah,
which that goes back to the distributor. The distributor now has got a 20% markup on whiskey that they were buying at wholesale price.
Yeah.
Now they're going to put that 20% on their whiskey price now too, because
so they can sell it to the store.
So now the store's paying 40% more for a whiskey than they were paying for initially. So they're going to take their 20% markup. So now you're seeing a 60% markup on a whiskey. So like a $20 bottle of Buffalo Trace, that comes out to like $32.
I can't wait till somebody says that's not how you do math.
That is how you do math, because that's what's happening.
Anyway, it's hella more expensive right now.
So it's way more expensive. So you're seeing that. You're seeing these artificial pricing. And then you're seeing these people who are going nuts over stuff that really is still retail value has not changed.
But like you said, you pulled this one out already. Why is this important to what we're talking about today?
This year, Buffalo Trace has been making Benchmark, right?
Right.
Benchmark is a bottom of the shelf $9 whiskey. $10 tops.
Yeah.
It's getting ready to move to a $20 whiskey. So your $10 whiskey is getting ready to become $20. And then they're going to release like a barrel proof and like a single barrel and all these different ones. And they're going to start showing up this year. And they're going to sell those as premium whiskeys. They're doing that because they can't produce all these other whiskeys to meet the demand. So they're pulling a bottom shelf whiskey and telling you it is a top shelf whiskey.
Lies. It's all lies.
So I suspect, how will social media and whiskey enthusiasts respond? They'll start buying tons of these benchmarks.
And they're going to be like, the notes, the flavor palettes. Oh, this is good. They're like, and before we pass it up, we're like, is that a screw top?
It is a screw top, by the way.
Yeah.
I suspect we'll start seeing corks on these sometime this year. Yeah. And you're like, it's a $10 bottle of whiskey.
It. Next thing you know, man, boom!
You'll be see people walking into bars going, I'll have a little Benchmark, please.
Oh, yes. Oh, you've got Benchmark?
Yeah.
Oh, God, I gotta have that.
Here's our suggestion. Don't fall prey, right?
Yes.
To this whole thing of you need these whiskeys to have good whiskey. You need to make sure you find these whiskeys. You don't look for those unicorns. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your money.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
If you're going to pay $70 for a bottle of Buffalo Trace, it's a $20 bottle of whiskey. Now, I mean...
Don't do it.
You're not going to be shocked and impressed.
Yeah, no.
Now, does that mean that all the whiskeys like that? No, there's some whiskey that's still...
Yeah, they're good.
They're good, and if you're going to buy a $300 bottle of Pappy's...
This is all real good.
That's the thing. It's all good whiskey. And remember, whiskey used to be like a poor man's drink, so it was $20 a bottle or less. So that hasn't changed. Jack Daniel's still tastes the same as it did.
Yeah, no, that's
when it was $20.
That's right.
So
that's right.
I mean, think about that when you're out buying whiskey. And guys, out in social media, we get it. You love whiskey, but quit showing the same damn ones.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're happy. You've got 20 bottles of Blanton's, and somebody out there, we're proud of you, but there's a lot of great whiskey out there that is just as good, if not better. So here's what I say. Jump off the hype train.
Oh, sure.
Go out there and try those available whiskeys. Quit chasing after allocated whiskeys. Let this aftermarket pricing settle itself down. Let liquor stores settle down their price gouging.
Yeah, for sure.
And allow for the boom to relax. And once that relaxes, you can go buy that $20 bottle of whiskey for $20 instead of $100.
Yeah. Because, I mean, eventually it should level out, especially if we all are, telling people how we feel about it with our dollars.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm not buying bougie whiskey. It doesn't mean that.
Oh, we're buying bougie whiskey.
Yeah, we're buying bougie whiskey. But honestly, I go into the liquor store and this is what happens. I you got anything new or something special? And they'll say, oh, well, we got some Buffalo Trace, meaning behind the counter. And I'm like, yeah, no, thank you. I've got a bottle of Buffalo Trace. I'm like, wah, wah, wah. Just say no.
And go find something else. And here's the other thing. I walked to the liquor store recently and I'm looking at whiskey and they're like, hey, if you're looking for the allocated whiskey, we don't have any. That's where you go? Yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm not really looking for anything. And they're like, if you're looking for allocated whiskey, we don't have it. That means that many people are coming in on a daily basis in a liquor store that their whole immediate response to you is, we don't have allocated whiskey.
Yeah, they're like...
I'm like, there's 500 whiskey bottles here of different flavors and brands and styles, and this is where we're at.
Yeah.
So guys, trust me, there's plenty of whiskey out there. I mean, there's 2 barrels per Kentuckian right now.
Per Kentucky.
There's a reason that exists. Go enjoy the other whiskeys. Let this cost of whiskey not stress you out. Chasing all these unicorns, all these other whiskeys. Go find some new stuff. It will work itself out.
It should.
So in the meantime, if there's a whiskey out there that you think, you know what, should not be allocated anymore, write it down in the comments. Or if you're seeing a difficulty getting a certain whiskey, write it down in the comments.
Yeah.
And in the meantime,
be safe, have fun,
and continue to be cool. We'll see you guys next week.